Hello, Jay and Les. Taking us a while to get signed in here. I gotta change the camera. Let's see, how do I do the camera? Switch cameras. There we go. That less? Not less, it's more. Hello. Yeah, we're about 15 minutes early. Okay, yeah, I forgot to do the recording, so none of that, but now we are being recorded. If you don't want to be recorded, whatever. Hey, Trevor, did that help you out any?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it did. I want Ed to sell me his 15-year-old unit so that I don't have to spend $1,700 for a new one.
Why buy a new one when you could buy a USA? It might be old, but you do a tune-up on it, take it apart, replace bearings, and they're more accurate than what you can buy now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, Steve, right? So I can get a used Delta 14-inch, which is made in Pennsylvania, for $500.
Yeah.
But do I get that, or do I spend the money and get a brand new one that, I know it's got a 5-year warranty and probably lost me a lifetime, because I'm not going to buy another one.
Well, my first table saw was a Walker Turner, and I totally rebuilt that. And I had no problems with that once I replaced the bearings on the trunnion. And the same thing with my bandsaws.
I know. Well, Ed's response is always, how far do you want to go?
Yeah, well, the parts are real cheap.
Well, I was trying to, on the last little segment, there are little fine points on the Rikon that may or may not be important, but I didn't know that. Number one, it'll take a 1-inch blade, which is
the new ones won't.
Okay, then look for and the other, the 2-speed adjustment, and you can tension the drive belts, which is that's good. The way that the blade goes on and off through the table, these little subtleties, if you haven't used a bandsaw a whole lot, those are important little deals.
Yeah, I agree. If I had 1750 just floating around, I wouldn't think twice about buying a Rikon, because I'm sold.
Well, I don't know where you got 1750, because Michelle, who isn't logged in tonight, just paid $14.95 for hers at Woodcraft. So
They do. They have one for $1,500 at Woodcraft. It's an older version. It doesn't have the table stand. It doesn't have the wheels to be able and that kind of stuff. So if you want a really basic, slightly older version, you can get it for $1,500. But California tax and all that other stuff.
yeah, that's true. I
forgot we live in California.
One comment about buying used. If you know nothing about machines, then you might be, buying a pig in a poke. You go up there and look at the machine, the guy's cleaned it all up and go, wow, this looks brand new. If you know something about machinery, 95% of a machine is steel. It's just steel. That the bearings and the motor and the electronics are the things you want to be concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know how to repair this stuff, that's another thing. Hiring somebody to do your work for you, that gets pricey too.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that want to get into woodworking, and they go out and spend a boatload of money on stuff, and they use it twice, and you're basically buying a new machine, maybe at half price.
Yeah,
I know.
So,
that's what I'm hoping for.
What's wrong with the $500 one? Like, why not get that one?
I don't know, Kevin. I'm not sure. I don't know whether for $500, I'm saving myself a lot of money. I'd have to go and see it running, but it's American made. It's 14 inches. It's a Delta, which is a known brand.
What year is it? You know when it was made?
I don't.
Yeah, check out that kind of stuff.
Buyer beware about Delta.
Is that right?
They're back in business again, but getting parts from them and everything is an absolute nightmare. Now, if you want to buy a bolt or a screw, no big deal. They're common parts. But a lot of these guys, they design something in it's very unique to their tool. And trying to get a replacement part can be the weak link in the chain.
Mhm.
dead
Yep.
in the water.
It didn't Delta went out of business and some company bought all of their spare parts.
It's a long story,
And
but
they threw all the spare parts in a big bin and they got tons of parts, but
well, Black and Decker bought out Delta. Then they sold it to a holding company and they then sold it to a Japanese company or something, but they dumped all the spare parts in a big bin unlabeled. So that's what the big snag is. And then they don't, Delta probably made 50 different drill presses over the course of their lifetime. And trying to, you buy a 30-year-old drill press and you're trying to find a part that's unique to that can be a headache. So I've bought a lot of routers on eBay that are used. I'll bet you 95% of them look like they were run over with a truck and the guy's asking top buck. And then I stumble across one that the guy used it one time and it's like a third of the price. So if you keep looking, check Craigslist or some of these other, but buying local is better than someplace in Pennsylvania where you can't look at it and can't turn it on and stuff like that.
Oh, no, this one's local. It's local. It was just made, and the engine was made in Pennsylvania. This is a label that shows you.
what is the most important part of a bandsaw? Steve,
The one you can't get.
the one, what's that?
I've had three Delta products and they were absolutely great. I inherited a 6-inch joiner. The parts that broke on it were not available. I had a contractor saw. One part that broke on it, not available. So I do have a mortising machine. I'm not really worried about that one. But to go to the point about, yes, there are parts out there, but whatever you're going to need, I'd lay dollars to donuts, is not going to be available because they're the common ones that get used up.
A lot of the Rockwell parts are made in China too.
There is a website called replacementparts.com. And they put your model number in there. They have every schematic for every machine. And every Delta machine, you'll go down the list and it'll say discontinue, discontinue, discontinue. Oh, a quarter 20 bolt, that one's available. Whoop-de-doo, big deal. You can buy that anymore.
It's true.
So I ran into the same problem on my drill press. I have a Delta drill press. Underneath the trunnions, there are 2 cast metal bolts or bolt holder. I torqued them down. It literally crushed the thing. It took me 6 months to find one. And the guy had 4 of them. Guess how many I bought? All 4 of them from him. I mean, I thought I was dead in the water with the thing. And I really don't want to go buy a new drill press. I really don't. But I was lucky enough to find these parts. So keep my fingers crossed. That's all. It's,
Can I jump in with a couple of things about the
Sure.
tune-ups, et cetera? So
Sure, go ahead.
to Ed's point, he 100% right. Ed's 100% right about the tensioning or not tensioning a blade. That's just like, what camp are you in? I did this a long time ago. So basically it's a piece of plywood that it says tension blade, and I put a couple of rare earth magnets on it. That goes around my blade. And as long as I remember to do it, that's blatantly obvious that I tension the blade, dummy, before you turn it on. The other thing is that what's actually going to cause a lot of vibration from it sitting around is the belts can get memory in them. And these kind of like link belt type of things, power dress, twist drive, I think is what they're called. They get rid of that aspect. And the vibration of my bandsaw went down considerably by putting that in there. Just installing those. So that's a good one. The other thing, while Ed and Dennis were offline earlier on, somebody happened to notice I had a bunch of bearings. Last week, things I talked about, I get a brand new Carter guide system for my Laguna bandsaw. And as a friend of mine who is a machinist electrician, all the things that I am not. And I picked up these bearings that came with it in the actual guide, and I'm moving them back and forth. And I'm like, John, that's not right in my head.
Yeah.
And he just freaked out. He goes, no, it's like, so thanks to, I think it was Steve who said, yeah, the raceway is to the shaft it was just bouncing around, and it was definitely measurable. So he had me get some what are Timken replacement bearings. They were, I think, $6 each from Amazon. You'll see these are rubber. He had me get the metal sleeved or what do they call it, but it's got metal on both sides. So it's better. Shielded. By the way, so these are 6200. That's just out of the model number. These are a 6200 ZZ, which means it's shielded on both sides. So for $6, we put there are 6 of them, put these on, and we could not detect any movement. So all that's going to get translated to your blade, because your blade's going to wobble if you can feel your bearings wobble. I'm
Are
done.
they metric bearings, Steve?
Hang on. I'm looking at them.
Everything on the right concentric.
Yeah, I don't have some good glass. They probably are. Because everything else on the bandsaw is made in Italy, so everything else has been metric.
Yeah.
But again, they're from Carter. So the Carter ones, everything on there has been SA, Imperial, or whatever you want to call it so far, but very easy to find. I mean, when I went online, it was kind of like Googling Yoda, for that model. Just all these different options showed up. Easy to find, but price difference through the roof on them, because he gave me 8 different brands. So these are 6 different brands. These are the ones you can trust. Get whatever's cheapest. Timken showed up all over the place. There's only one other brand that showed up. The other brand, I think they were $20 or $30 a piece. Like I said, these were 6. I needed $6 each. I had to buy you buy them in a 4-pack, so I have like 2 extra because the thrust bearings were the same. So, but that definitely made an improvement, because we ran them for a while before the new ones came in, and there was a noticeable difference. I cut, and actually with these new ones in there, I ended up cutting 64th of an inch. What'd you call it?
Veneer.
Thank you. Yeah, 64th of an inch. Yeah, Steve's thinking in my head for me. 64th inch veneer on it. Now, it was an offcut, but it was so even all the way through. It was phenomenal.
Mhm.
It wouldn't have done that with the old bearings.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I have my little bands. Can you see back there? Anyway, the bandsaw that I use 99.9% of the time. I bought it in 1982 thereabouts. I can do the math. I've never released the tension on the belt. On the blade. I come in, of course I use it. It's been probably turned on. It's never sat for more. Well, one time I went on a 3-week vacation, so I didn't turn it on for 3 weeks. Never released the tension. I've never replaced a bearing. It's the original guides. So I hear the conversations, and I went online. Trevor said there's this one guy that works for Carter that does a really great bandsaw stuff, and I said, my goodness, how much I'm missing out on so much of this stuff. I've never. I guess my expectations are. I don't really care. I just want it to cut wood. I just want to cut wood. If it, every once in a while, I'll Trevor, you've used it,
I have, and it works really well. I mean,
know.
between the two, you've got that one and you got the big
Yeah.
old Italian job, which,
And the reason I bring this up is and this is what Ed is always saying, is what do you want to do in this woodworking world? I enjoy these discussions and stuff. It's fun. At 6 o'clock on Monday night after a day of working with wood, but I just want to cut wood. I want to make weird things that I think of in the middle of the night, stuff like that. And again, I'm always kind of the other end of the spectrum. It feels like, but we only want to make beautiful things, and we do.
The problem is, it's a personal thing.
Yeah. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go with this working business?
It's a personal thing.
And you get a lot of enjoyment out of discussing, the mechanical part. But, I want to start talking about the aesthetics and what is it that are we trying to make something beautiful? I'm reading the Howard Rizzardi, who's discussing things like you really can't judge things unless you understand the language and the knowledge. Steve, I think that's kind of your arena.
Yep.
I enjoy it all. And I really would like to see what you guys are making and your thoughts on the process of making. Do we want to just continue to make, what we made last week, or do we want to grow and take risks and kind of push the envelope if we can?
Before we did the video today, I looked at a YouTube about blade tensioning. And the truth of the matter is, the guy said, if you're not going to use your bandsaw for about 3 to 6 months, it'd probably be a good idea to take the tension off, because the blade, the pounds per square inch might dig into the tires, and sometimes they're hard to read. That was 3 to 6 months. I'm talking 3 to 6 hours for me. So
Yeah.
it's just a personal thing.
And
That's all it is.
The proof, this is why it's been such a great advantage for me to have Ed as a point and counterpoint. The way he works is different than the way I work. And it fascinates me to see the differences, but we still have the same desire to make perfect things.
I couldn't make this little cabinet any more perfect than he did. Now, I'll give you another example. I have a friend, he builds very sophisticated tunnel boring equipment, but he does woodworking. He had a workbench,
He's a hell of a guy.
listen to this, 4x8 workbench with 1.5 inch thick MDF glued up, and it was flat from corner to corner within 5 thousandths of an inch. That wasn't acceptable. He tore it off, took a piece of 4x8 steel plate, 1 inch thick, had its surface ground to within 1/1000th of an inch. The tabletop weighs 800 pounds. Of course, he's got cranes and big forklifts to move all the stuff from.
His drilling rig is powered by a World War II tank diesel motor, which I think
Right.
is the coolest thing.
400 horsepower.
As we walked by it, he had to start it up for us. So, okay.
But the point I'm trying to make, it's a personal
Yeah.
thing. If you want an 800-pound tabletop within 1/1000th of an inch, so be it. Go get it surface ground. It cost him $400 to get it surface ground. I'm OCD. He's OCD on steroids. Okay, this guy, he's over the top. He's made chessboards that there was a gap, like 1/2 thousandth of an inch. Threw them in the trash, made another. Okay, come on, So
Yeah, well-
all this discussion about what I want to do or what Dennis wants to do, or you take the tension off the blade, that's just a personal
Yeah.
thing. That's all. It's
And
not right or wrong.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I have an observation. It's two halves of an observation. For those of you who've been to the Maloof and been on the house tour, at least in the kitchen and in the master bedroom, there's a quote attributed to Michelangelo Buonarroti, better known as Michelangelo. And it said, he was asked by somebody like, well, those are trifles. And the quote starts as, "Trifles make perfection, and perfection is no trifle." So there's that aspect of it. About 3 weeks ago, I was on the memorial service that the Furniture Society held for Gary Knox Bennett. And the guy who basically gave the kind of like background on what he did, retrospective, I guess. I can't remember his name, but you guys will probably remember it. He wrote the book on Bennett. He also wrote the book on Maloof. So he runs the Smithsonian's wing for craft.
Adamson?
Thank you. Yes.
Gary Adams. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It was him. And he referred to what we call the nail cabinet, which, if you don't know this absolutely beautiful cabinet, curved glass front. There was a door on the right. It needed a handle. He took the most nasty, ratty looking 16-penny nail, nailed it in there and bent it over. There's your handle. And so Gary Adamson asked him, "Why did you do that?" He goes, "We all need to know why you did that." And he goes, "Well, it was a message to everybody. Stop being so bleep, fussy about all the details." So you've got two opposites of the same extreme, two great craftsmen / artists, difference of opinion, etc. That made me kind of relax a little bit on what I'm doing right now. So
Yeah, just as an aside, it's a great subject. Sam and Gary Knox Bennett were good friends.
yes,
And Gary Knox Bennett always had a fifth of Jack Daniels. Wherever he went, he had a
That's all?
fifth of Jack. Always. And now Maloof was a teetotaler. He did not drink, he never drank, and there is no alcohol on the Maloof property, except for when Gary Knox Bennett was there, everybody looked the other way, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah. So, yeah, that's fun stuff. Somebody just, somebody just sent a message or whatever about, he was told not tensioning the blade. I couldn't see the rest of it. Like Ed was saying, do what you think you should do with your equipment. Ed releases the tension. Ed probably, you clean your tools, blows them out with he does all. I don't do any of that.
It's a personal thing. That's all. It's just.
And have a reason for why you do things. Don't just do them because somebody else told you to do it. Don't do something because Ed Rizzardi said to do it, or do something because that's how I do it. Understand the equipment, understand the stuff. That's what we want to do, is we want to understand, what does it take to cut wood accurately to what we want to do? Do you have to have a, Steve, you're talking about cutting veneer with a 1/4 inch plate, or understand the dynamics of what it takes to cut that stuff. And if it doesn't work, well, learn what it's going to take to make it work. The science of blade technology is unbelievable. Just the difference between a skip tooth and a hook, the cutting is 100% different. One cuts rough, one cuts near perfect. What do I want to do? When I get on my bandsaw, I just want to make the wood go away, because I don't care about what the surface is, because I can sand it off, or I'm going to join it or plane it or do something else with it. Don't really care. I understand where I'm going and what I understand the dynamics of cutting wood. So that's my theme, and I'm sticking to it. Any other input, questions?
I got a question on the bandsaw blade installation.
Sure.
When you put it in to the bearings, the back bearing, is it supposed to go to the gullet or out to where the set of the blade, the tooth is? How far back do you set that blade?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
I think I do. Okay, what size blade?
I
Oh,
use all sizes, half inch, right? Half inch.
okay,
Oh, I've seen this. The Snodgrass doesn't talk about it actually in Carter, but I was watching another because I'm geeking out on all of this stuff right now. And Steve, I think the answer to your question, if I'm understanding what you're asking, is those bearings should be 1/16 behind the cutting edge of the
Yeah.
blade. So they
It's
want to
not
be as
back-
far forward as they can, but a 16th behind where the cutting surface of the blade is.
Okay, because when you have a blade, there's a set in the tooth. Now that, if you're 1/16 back, so it wouldn't work. You'd actually be against the tooth of it.
I've been told that you should put it like once, right behind the gullet.
That's what I've
Yeah.
heard too.
That's how I run my bandsaws and they work great that way.
Yeah, I think that's what I meant to say. It's
Okay.
behind the gullet where
Yeah,
it's.
behind the
Barry
gullet,
wants to
right.
ride-
Right.
Barry wants to ride on the metal, not the teeth.
Yeah,
Against the
yeah, you're gonna
flex
destroy
on
them.
the metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
behind the gullet is makes sense.
Yeah.
I
not a-
was taught how to set my bandsaw by a guy, and I watched him cut $2,000 a board foot veneer, to make veneer. So, and that's what he did, right behind that gullet. And most of what I'm getting is from that guy.
What kind of wood was $2,000 a board foot?
Quilted mahogany. It's known as the tree. If you look up the tree and it says something about
Oh.
quilted mahogany, there's only one found.
Yeah.
It took him 40 years to get it out. And it took a Sikorsky Sky Crane to do it because it fell not where they hoped it would go. And it went down in a ravine like in Honduras somewhere.
Was that in the Smithsonian magazine?
No, I
Yeah, I saw an article about that. so.
it could have been. It's David Marks is the guy I saw.
Oh, yeah.
And that he taught me how to do it. You know, that's where I learned basically that tweaking. But that's the stuff he has. It's phenomenal. If you look at David Marks and look up, he does something called Ocean. It's a disc and it has all these fish, sea creatures on it. If you look at the background material, that looks kind of like it's underwater. That's what it is, and it's phenomenal.
Oh.
But I'm not buying any.
Yeah, but
There's an English guy called Matt Estley, Estlea, and he does the definitive guide to bandsaw setup. He's got a YouTube video, and you can see it there, what he's talking about in terms of where you set up the guides.
interesting. Wow, there you go. Lots of stuff to learn in this game here. Okay, so we're about running out of time here. What should we do? What can I force Ed to?
What would you guys like to talk about next week?
Yeah,
If you were serious about having me come out there, Dennis, we might switch a little bit to design. 'Cause
I think.
I'll bring my the interim pieces I got to get there. Saying I
Okay.
can get it done, but yes.
Yeah, I'd love to have you have your bring it on out. I mean, you've been to my shop. Remember it's down the back of.
Oh yeah, I know where.
Back part of my property. Can you pick it up and carry it?
Oh yeah, it's like
Okay.
4 foot high and it's 2 pieces.
Okay.
The biggest
That's
piece
one of
weighs
the
15 pounds.
that's one of the criteria. Whenever I make something, I have to make sure that it's manageable, where I can pick it up and carry it. That's part of the constraints that I impose upon myself. I don't make anything over like 30 pounds. My 3-drawer console is in 4 pieces, and each piece weighs about 30 pounds. So, and I did it on purpose because I don't want to
The
have to.
joys of growing old, gentlemen, okay?
Okay.
I'll touch base with you on that.
Okay, and yeah, I would like to, I enjoyed the conversation about the equipment and the procedures. I would also like to have a component of the design, the aesthetics, and, why is it that we spend this time that we do making these things that we make when, so that's kind of the direction. I'd like to have different phases of what we talk about, and that's where I'm going to go. So yeah, we'll talk, Steve, about coming on out.
Give me a call
Monday's a
whenever.
good- Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, by the way, Steve, are you going to enter in Orange County?
Yes, that's the goal, is to get it in there, and I'd like it done this Friday, so I'm not like San Diego putting it at the last minute.
Yeah, I think the 28th is the deadline on
The 27th.
7th. Yeah, okay.
Anyway,
What Friday is.
and we will do, when Ed and I go deliver to San Diego, I'll take a lot of video and see if I can put together something on it. It's going to be an interesting show. It's the first time in 3 years.
Yeah,
They didn't do anything last year.
2019 was a long time.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah. And hopefully it'll be a decent show, even though maybe the entries weren't quite up to snuff or didn't have as many as before. So, all right. Feel free, Kevin should actually, I did talk to Kevin, my nephew. He is real. He said that he's working the night shift, which causes him not to be here on 5 o'clock. He usually works like the 11 o'clock to 8 in the morning shift. But the
graveyard shift.
Yeah, the graveyard, but they're shorthanded where he works, and he's in a real specialized occupation. So, but he won't be available in the morning, so he's going to come in and actually do some work, which I will video of him actually working. So, okay. On that note, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop.